Welcome to Wine Library TV. I'm your host, Gary Vaynerchuk. And this, my friends, is the Thunder Show, aka the internet's most passionate wine program. And as you can see, we have a lovely guest today. We're going to be doing some interesting stuff. Why don't you tell the VaynerNation who you are and what this is all about?
Sure. My name is Michelle Turnbull. I am from David Family Wines. And I think my story is probably a little more unusual than most people in the wine world over here. I'm from Australia originally, from a very small family in a even smaller town. And my background was actually in the corporate world, or more specifically in the sports world.
Okay.
I heard you were interested in sports.
Just a little.
So
check this out. Keep talking.
Oh, yes. So I spent many years in Australia.
You like this, huh?
Oh, look at you in the AFL.
Uh-huh.
You've got friends all over the place.
That's right. You like that, huh? This is signed by a bunch of top winemakers. Michael Hill Smith and Master of Wine, and a bunch of people. So I play a little footy. We can do a little.
Oh, he's even got the right maneuver down.
You like that? So what did you do in the sports world in Australia?
So I worked for global sports properties like the Olympic Games, the Australian Tennis Open, Rugby World Cup, and so mostly working on the corporate side of those sports industries and businesses. And with that company I was with, I then came to the US. Did the same thing, and while I was enjoying that day job, I felt like I was still interested in the wine and food world, and so I worked on the side for this fantastic family-owned wine company in San Francisco. And I was so fortunate. They taught me everything about the business of wine. I got to stand alongside, learn from, and taste wine with some top professionals and sommeliers, people like Stephen Tanzer and Bartholomew Broadbent, and all the time I kept thinking, gosh, I'm just like this little girl from the middle of nowhere, and here I am with these wine gods. And over time just developed a sense of what my real palate was about, and hoped one day that I could make this part-time job my full-time job. And it actually wasn't until I met Greg Brown from T-Vine Wines, very inspirational man, as you know.
Very.
That I just thought I need to, get off my butt and just do something. So 5 years ago, I started David Family and wanted to create a wine portfolio that actually highlights the wonders of Pinot Noir. And so we exclusively focus on making very interesting Pinots. I think that I grew up certainly drinking a lot of French wines. In Australia, it's about Europe, or it's about Australia. We don't get a lot of California wines there. And I think that California is producing grapes that show the diversity of bold, rich, opulent fruit wines, and something that is a little more Burgundian in style. And, as I said, we're just growing, but I'd like to have this portfolio that shows the various ends of the spectrum and a few in between as we keep growing. Of Pinot Noir, yes.
And so is this the first vintage, the 07?
So we released our first vintage last August. It was a 2006 from the Santa Lucia Highlands, and we sold out in a few months. I didn't even know what to do with myself, actually. It was quite overwhelming. And that came and went in an instant, and we just released the 07.
How much did you produce of the 06?
I was about 350 cases.
Got it. And so did you mainly sell that through distribution or restaurateurs, or how did that kind of go about?
Just direct. The reason I got into the business was because I enjoy it and I want to be a part of it. So I was entrenched in the shipping warehouse. I'm boxing it up. I'm making deliveries. I'm tasting the wine. I'm, making sure I'm a part of everything. So it was really about getting the wine direct to consumers. We had orders as far away as Kazakhstan, Hong Kong, UK.
Did you guys get any press or anything that gave it a real push in the beginning?
We were very lucky. We had a couple of wine collectors that I met through friends of friends, and I think their networks, that just through word of mouth traveled down those channels. And as I said before, I knew it was gone, and so I focused on this. So
you're involved in the business end of the wine.
Yes.
It sounds like a whole lot. So, but who's making the wine?
Two amazing winemakers, Byron Khashoggi and Pat Natal, both based in Napa. I think a lot of people, if you're familiar with their work, they've done a lot of very impressive Pinots in their time.
Yes, they have.
Pat is a rising star within this space.
And where are you making the wine?
In Santa Rosa, actually in a facility just next to the Pisonis.
Very cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Who we actually get a lot of our grapes from.
So what other aspects to this wine? I see this label thing. right? I know that about the Habitat for Humanity. Tell me about that part of this project.
You know, I think before I dive into that, one thing that I'd love you to know about David Family is we focus on making, and we want to make premium Pinot that people can feel good about, and it's obviously a
I see that $62 price range, so it's not
yes.
your everyday, mott drinking on Thursday afternoon just because it's laying around kind of wine.
I wish that were the case, but no, it's a special wine. We get our grapes from some of the world-class vineyards, Sony, Gary's, Mission Ranch, Bert Williams from Williams-Salem, and sometimes it's a blend of those, sometimes it's single vineyard. But I want to make a premium wine that's a little more approachable. And I think sometimes it's a little intimidating to go to a store, and there are names that you don't know how to pronounce, and there are price points that seem very, overpowering, I guess. And everything about our wine is meant to be innovative, interesting, and from the label to the cause. And so the first thing is that you'll see on the front of the label, it is a hand-cut Spanish leather that literally one by one we hand-cut, then we hand-stamp it, hand-print it, and then I'm very thankful for my friends who come up with me to Napa, and we hand-apply every single one. And
what do you put on it? Like a little...
I spent a lot of time trying to find the right adhesive, because when I was talking about the concept of leather labels, people kept saying, I don't want to throw it away, I want to keep the label. So we finally found the right adhesive that will stick to the bottle, but then peel off really easily.
Really easily, and and doesn't seem...
No, it doesn't get... it lasts
really
very
cool.
well on the bottle. So that's kind of one aspect. It's a little more tactile. We talk about all the senses that wine, taps into, and smell and sight and taste, but why not about the literal feel of the bottle in your hands? The other thing I wanted to create is this graciousness of appreciation. Wine brings us together with family and with friends, and I feel like it should be bringing other people and other families together. So the partnership we have with Habitat for Humanity is about that very thing. So every bottle has a number on it. If you type that number in on our website, you actually meet the specific family from Habitat that proceeds are going towards.
Every bottle, you said?
So there's a case number, yes.
So the case number.
Exactly.
So if you put in 180, so one case of this wine, 6-pack or 12-pack?
12-pack.
Is being kind of donated to a specific family. So
Exactly.
you pick 340 families for this vineyard?
No,
vintage?
there aren't that many families in Habitat, so it's based on the number of families, and then we equally divide each year. But
Does the math work out, or does one family get like a coin toss and get like one extra case to them?
If that's the case, then we try to give them a little extra wine as a housewarming gift.
Sure.
It all works out fairly in the end.
Got it.
But I want to create that real connection, that this isn't just a drop in the ocean of some major cause, that, this is Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and there are 6 kids who live in a studio apartment in the Tenderloin with another family. And they work hard, and they want their kids to go to school. And these are people who really do look for that opportunity in life, and they don't throw it away. So, let's sit and celebrate.
How did you get
wine
hooked
here.
up with them? Is somebody you've worked with in the past?
Oh, just a cause that growing up I supported and enjoyed, and I believe in that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that before we can give those fantastic things like a university scholarship, the basic needs of shelter and food have to be met first.
Sure,
so
agreed.
That's
it. So good. This is powerful stuff, Mott. I like this episode. All right, let's get into the first one. This is the 07 Pinot. So you make one wine, or you make 3 different wines?
These are 3 different Pinots from 3 different vineyards in different regions.
Will they be bottled separately?
They will be bottled separately.
So this is the 07 that was first bottled. These are also
Actually, these are 09s.
These are 09s. Got it. Okay, so this is the 07.
Yes.
In 07, you have one Pinot, or you have 3 different Pinots?
Because we just started, we have just one.
But you figure by 09, you're going to have 3 different.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
And so this is 62 U.S. bones. And obviously, you're selling a majority of this through direct mailing list and some restaurateurs locally, I presume, in San Fran, things like that?
Exactly. So we released this about 3 weeks ago into the market.
Okay.
And actually, most of our wine we sell as futures. So we're actually more than halfway sold through of this wine.
Smart. Get the cash early.
Well, and it's also a bit better for you guys. You guys get A much better price. You're guaranteed to get it. You get it before everyone else.
So you are selling them at a different price on futures?
Yes. So for example, this was $62 now that it's in stores and in restaurants and online. But in December, we announced to our members and to the general public, it's on our website, that it was $45 for futures.
I see. So that is a substantial difference.
It is, and their wine was shipped out in January, and they also got, instead of the orange label, a black leather label, which is just here, which you'll be having your own special black leather label.
Yes, I see. We're about to do something.
That just makes it a a more special for you guys.
Well, you're a marketing
You're not
gal.
going to see it.
I mean, it adds to it, right? I mean, it's part of the experience.
Exactly.
I mean, and I didn't mean that in a negative way. I think, I'm a big fan of marketing. I think that the storytelling and the experience back to the senses, it's nice. It's nice to have something a little different.
I always come back to the idea that we're not drinking wine alone. Well, sometimes we are, but usually it's with someone else.
After a tough Jets loss, we sometimes are, but,
And, you're exchanging all kinds of stories, and this is just, whether it's marketing or a story, it's all one and the same.
No question. No question. All right, let's snip this up and see what's going on here. So, obviously, this is a young Pinot, just bottled. 3 weeks ago, you said? Just hit the market? Or bottled in January?
Bottled in November.
Got it. Released in January. To the pre-list? And then just now hitting kind of the regular distribution?
Exactly.
So how long did you wait between the January release and, the regular distribution?
It's about 4 months.
You kind of, let it sit in that pre-sale window? So
Exactly.
were they able to buy for $45 up till, let's say, April?
I think actually March was the cutoff. We got it sometime in March.
And you will do that same thing with going forward?
Exactly. In fact, this week, both of these barrel samples that you'll taste next are going on.
I think this is where I need to jump in. I think I've been waiting for somebody to do this the right way. I never understood why wineries sell direct to consumers. And I understand the play was availability. But at the end of the day, with top stores around the country like ours or top restaurants, whether it was Turley or Kistler or Williams-Salem, they were still, no matter how allocated the wine was, you could still kind of find it. And often, you would find it for less than the winery would sell it for. This seems like a much more strategic Bordeaux future, which is a proven model that makes sense to me. Now I understand why the maniacs watching out there, especially in this world where most wines are just not allocated anymore because, it's not 1997 anymore.
Times have changed.
Times have changed.
Yes.
$60 Pinots, or $45 Pinots, there's a lot on the market. There's, supply and demand factors. But this makes a whole lot more sense for me. I mean, saving $17 a bottle makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I want to reward the people who do like my wine and come back.
Will you always do a different label?
Yes, for the futures.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. I want to recognize the people who are, loyal and trust our palate, and I think there is a trust involved because you haven't been able to go to a store and try it yet.
Sure.
So
you're just going on pedigree or the winemaker or the vineyard sources, or once you build up traction prior vintages.
No, exactly, and
Okay, cool.
We'll give it a try. See what you think.
So my initial thought on this wine is that I like the nose. It was aromatically, I didn't get into aromatics, we got sidetracked. I thought the aromatics were really solid. I really like the kind of strawberry flavoring coming through on the nose, a little kind of what I like to call forest floor. It's kind of got a little dirt, a little piney, it's kind of this little kind of thing going on. The palate, it's extremely meaty. It's a very viscous, thick Pinot Noir. It has more weight on my palate than I expected. Is it 100% Pinot?
It is. Yep.
No little Syrah for kicks and giggles on the side when nobody was looking?
I promise you, everything is 100% Pinot.
All right. So, so the vineyard sources are coming through on this. If you listen, ironically, there's some people that this would be too big of a Pinot for.
Sure.
I think,
Yep.
Obviously you've got a style you're looking for, but this is a very meaty, gamey, heavy,
which is that
viscous
end of
Pinot.
the spectrum,
Yeah, that's over here.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, is that the style you prefer, personally? Or is it just you want to hit up all the different styles?
I actually enjoy for different occasions, different seasons. I think that my Pinot palate can change based on all those factors like anything else.
Time of the year?
Exactly. So depending on what those factors are, I want to have in my arsenal of Pinots one that I can go to that's going to work for that occasion or that situation.
So what kind of flavors are you picking up on this that maybe I didn't refer to?
Well, what I've always loved, and I'll get into the wine terms in a minute, but my brother, God bless him, he's a football player, and soccer though, not American football. And
have you been following the World Cup carefully?
Of course, he used to play for Australia.
Is that right?
He's retired now.
So they tied the other day. They got beat down by Germany, right?
But
they came back.
I'm not sure we can.
But they came back and played to a draw the other day, right? 1-1.
They've had some challenges, and I think that they have not played
up to their potential.
Because in 2006, they were a strong team that had, I think, some tough calls from the ref. This year, I like
you already. You're going right after the refs. It's a brilliant.
I think this
year
the
Americans have had some issues with the refs this year.
I'm so sorry about that too.
Yeah.
Oh, talk about passion.
Yeah.
Jeez. This year, I feel like they're a little bit angry, and there's some resentment still from the previous
Sure.
World Cup that they're not playing like a world-class team.
You think they're distracted 4 years later? Because that would really question their mental, toughness.
I don't want to put
But
words
that's
in
where
the
you're
Tom's
going.
mouth,
I mean, you innuendoed that they don't have the mental toughness to survive what happened 4 years ago.
I don't think it's the mental toughness. I think it's the chip on the shoulder. It's the...
Got it. And so that you think they're trying to overdo it.
A little bit. They overthink it. They're not buttoned up, and they're being a little
Do they have a lot
sluggish.
of players that were there for you? Was your brother on the team 4 years ago?
No, he was in the previous one.
The 02.
That, yes.
Or they made it... So they've made it in 02, 04. They've been making it, right?
We're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
We're a good team.
And your neighbors that I know there's a rivalry, but New Zealand had a shocking result yesterday.
That was amazing.
I mean, they're probably still not sleeping in New Zealand.
I couldn't get over it.
I've never seen people get crazier over a tie.
Or take their clothes off publicly.
Did you see that? The woman with the bra? I thought it was amazing. Okay, anyway.
So I was going to say...
Your bro.
He has obviously been to some great restaurants, had a lot of great wines, and while he can't describe them in the traditional wine terms...
Nor should he have to.
He talks about this particular wine as being Marilyn Monroe.
Because she's thick?
Thick, voluptuous. He's like, she comes on and she has a presence that you're going to feel and you're really going to enjoy it in some way or another. There's nothing to dislike about Marilyn Monroe. Sometimes she could be a little too much for your personality.
Right.
But overall,
you've got to respect the game.
You want her at your dinner party. Like, she's going to bring something to the table that is interesting and full of personality and bold and vivacious. And I thought that was a very interesting way to describe the personality of this wine, because I do think it is a little thicker and richer. I think when I used the word opulent earlier, it was because I was thinking about this particular vintage.
It's a very, very, very big Pinot, almost to the point where if I didn't have as much trust in what she was saying, that I would think, I mean, that's how thick it is. Like, this would be like the Pinot Noir that I talked about 3 years ago on Wine Library TV all the time. Like, I'm concerned that people are starting to pour Syrah into Pinot, because don't forget, it only has to be 75% Pinot Noir so to be called Pinot. So there was a lot of game playing going on during Pinot's explosion to make it bigger and bolder, which is such an American palate thing, especially back there, though we're starting to level out and become more food friendly.
Sure.
This is a very big Pinot. It's very, very structured. It's got a lot of flavor profile to it. You might even notice, I just took notice myself, I didn't realize it. I didn't even spit the second sip I had this wine, which is very rare on this show, so there's a delicious factor to it. It's pushing the price point category that I'm comfortable with in Pinot, though I do have a double standard, whereas if this was a top flight Burgundian Pinot, I probably wouldn't blink. So there's a little American Pinot Noir price prejudice that I think a lot of the producers like yourself have to start opening up the dialogue. Like, why can't we be 62, but tons of average Burgundies are 62.
No, I think it's going to take time. I understand we are very new to the market. We're less than a year old in the public's eye.
Sure.
I have years of blood, sweat, and tears. They've had about 10 months.
Sure.
So
yeah, they only have so much equity into it.
It'll take time.
Yeah, it would definitely take time. But hopefully these kind of things will bring some exposure to it. I think the wine's quite solid quality to me. This is probably the kind of wine that I would score 91, 92 points. I think it's very, very, very good. I think what I have not mentioned, and again, she's not sitting here, just us, Mott and I, maybe it's a 90, 91, but it's really in that range. I mean, what I'm not mentioning that I think should be mentioned is, and kudos to the winemakers, as big and bold as this is, I would say there's a pretty respectful balance here. I'm kind of surprised how together this wine is and approachable this young in its life, and two, as big as this is, it's kind of like being impressed with the dress that Marilyn Monroe was wearing, that it
Sure.
was able to keep all that in there.
Right, she's still a lady at the end of the day.
Right.
You're right.
I mean, it does have some. I mean, this is a very big Pinot Noir and could get out of hand. As a matter of fact, I'm not so sold that it wouldn't long term get out of hand. I mean, there's a lot going on in this wine. It's big. But right now, if it's keeping it together right now, my bet would be that it's going to be able to keep together and probably mellow out even more over time.
No, and I agree with that, which is why we have the structure we have in place for how we release the wine, the time we do. I mean, it's not often that you see 07 hitting the market, we're in 2010. So I want to make sure that when it hits, it's making a statement, and different statements for different wines apply.
It's kind of, by the way, the analogy to put it with this wine where I think it goes, it's kind of like going from like slutty to classy. Like, this is a young wine right now, and I could see
I'm so
only
proud
getting...
to be associated with a brand that has that
From
one.
slutty to classy. Well, that was for your bro. All right, let's move on.
Thank you. Okay.
Good wine. I like that.
Thank you.
I mean, again, listen, I do this show for them. I mean, I'd be much, much happier if you bought it during the futures period than right now. Can we, do a retroactive futures thing? Can I put you on the spot? Can we do, a retroactive futures thing for the Vayniacs that they call it?
Yeah. Sure.
Can we pretend it's April?
You know what? We can do that for...
I like this new idea.
I know.
They're on the spot. Then where are they going to go?
He's lucky that we're both in the marketing mindset
That's
right now. All right, we could do a... End of this week?
Yeah, we'll come up. So you do have a mailing list, right, on the site, davidfamily.com?
Yeah, if you just go to David Family.
And if you reach out directly, see, I did something for it. It's at that price point, I think it gets really interesting. All right, let's move on to the next one. Do you want to do the mission?
Mission.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay. So this is an 09, our first 09 Pinot I can think of, because it's still sitting in barrel.
Yep.
Okay, and you're going to be bottling this in November?
October, yeah.
October, got it.
So sorry, they're releasing in October, bottling it in September.
Got it. So this is the 09 Mission Ranch Pinot Noir, and this is right now actively in the pre-sale play, or no?
Actually, this week. So this was perfectly timed. This week futures go on sale. This will retail for $70 a bottle.
70.
Yes, but futures only $50.
Right. Only $50.
What a deal! We should do but there's more.
Yeah, I know.
Wait,
we'll throw in.
Yes,
it's like those infomercials. And so you really are. And how many cases of this will you produce?
This one is only 250.
So you're really going for that really limited production, but you are definitely on the premium scale of Pinot. And that's kind of where you feel comfortable. I mean, do you feel like you want to make something the best thing you can possibly make, and then at those numbers, you feel that you personally can hustle selling those kind of quantities?
I think so. And I also feel like the proof is in the pudding. I mean, nobody has to believe me. As I said, who am I? Some girl from a town that most people have never even heard of.
What's the name of the town, by the way?
Cornuvia.
Cornuvia, okay.
I think most people who try the wine find something very appealing and interesting. As I said, the vineyards where we're getting these grapes from are
top flight.
They're world class, and sometimes we do mix it up a little bit.
As a new producer, something people may not know. As a new producer, it's hard to get these grapes. I mean, did you have to go charm them? I mean, what
Well,
were you lucky and found some openings? Some people were canceling. I mean, some of these vineyards are top.
No, absolutely. I think it's two things. I mean, sure, I couldn't just call the persona and
right.
say, "Hi, I'm Michelle."
Sure, can't do that.
Do you want that? They would probably just hang up on me.
Do you have the right relationships in place? Friends of friends?
Friends of friends, but then it's also explaining to the various vineyards what my palate is, what the vision is, and what I plan to do with it. And I think there's a lot of trust in the wine community.
There is.
At the end of the day, we're all just people trying to make a product that we really believe in. This is your life, and so I'm not trying to do anything that is dishonest or not true to their brand or my own brand.
Sure.
So I think they're willing to give me that chance.
Yep.
And thankfully they've continued to keep working with me. So
very nice.
So
this bouquet is stinkier.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little functified action. I like the barnyard kind of aspect to this. Mm-hmm. This has much more old world nuances on the nose than the prior one, while still keeping true to some California sunshine fruit on the nose. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is almost like raspberry flavored barnyard, yes. Right? It's like you fed the sheep and the cows and the pigs lots of raspberries, so their poops had a little bit of that nuance.
I agree. Maybe there's even a little bright cherry in here too. It adds
the red fruit is clear.
That's a little, I don't want to say tart flavor, but that tart flavor creates the acidity that will keep this wine going for more years to come.
So this wine on the palate transitions to a lot of minerality. Mm-hmm. Maybe that acidity kind of aspect. So there is, a crushed rock element kind of on the flavor.
I could see
Almost,
that.
you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of almost like salt. I mean, there's like minerality to this.
So when you think about the first one we just tried being over on this end,
Yep.
this is closer to that other end, I think.
Though
You
I
start
think,
to walk
yeah, no question, but
work your
not
way
over
down.
here because it's not vegetal
not
or, yeah,
opposite.
no. This is more like,
Coming down.
If this is the halfway point and this is where we just were, this might be here.
Sure.
To like over here, right?
Sure, I agree with that.
And so stylistically, this is a flavor profile I like a little bit more.
I think there's a little more elegance to this. You know, if we're going to stick with this fine women of the world analogy, you know, from Marilyn Monroe, this is more of an Audrey Hepburn, I think, where she's got a little more class and structure to her and she's a little more buttoned up. Or maybe you have a different...
No, it's not. It's not even.
Like
Yeah, I'm kind of going off that. I'm like, we better not go there anymore. That's not where I'm going. I'm actually thinking about this wine a little bit from the standpoint of, it is, you know, going back to the last wine. There's such a substantial weight difference, which for my palate, this is much more of where I want my Pinot to be. I mean,
Great.
I like the last wine as the way I scored it, more because, almost more from like a novelty play, to be honest with you, because I'm just like so impressed. I'm more impressed by the craftsmanship here. Like, I'm impressed that wine didn't get out of hand, considering how big it is. I'm also aware that there are a boatload of people that are going to love that Pinot. Like, I had Big Glenn here the other day. You know, he would love this. But this is much more weight-wise, flavor profile, the minerality, its acid structure. I think it's just much more up my alley. These are kind of Pinots that I tend to like a little bit more.
Great. We want people to enjoy the wine. At the end of the day, that's why
And
I'm
for
here.
you, which one's more your palate?
It's just, I think it's
Time and place.
Time and place makes a big difference.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
without the politically correct answer. Like,
No,
you know, like which one would you drink of these two?
I'll say this. I think if I was hosting a dinner party with, let's say, equal number of men, women, and the food is whatever it is, to please more palates, I'm going to go with the 09 sample. I think that's...
That's so interesting. You know why? If I was having a dinner party, okay. If I was having like people over,
Yeah.
and not necessarily like a sit down dinner, I would definitely serve this.
Oh, okay.
Because knowing just the percentage of people walking through the store and just it would be more crowd pleasing, I think. Sit down like 4, 6 people, I may go more in this direction, especially if we're like pairing it up in like structured dinner format.
Yep.
Because I think it's more food friendly. And let me phrase that. It's dramatically more food friendly in my opinion.
That's true.
Okay, cool. All right. Let's move on.